Okay, so we'll have a look at the three trades that we talked about literally 3 or 4 days ago. I think it was on Wednesday. Was it after the Wednesday webinar we took it? I think that was it. I think it was Wednesday webinar we looked at it, and I think Thursday morning or Thursday we took it, if I'm not mistaken. Feels like morning trying to find some fuel with no queues. It's probably harder to find. It's probably harder to find a forecourt with fuel than it is to find a good trade at the moment. Okay, cool. So let's have a look. If we have a look at this now, it's up 250%. Look, so this is now the second biggest winner in my portfolio at the minute. And this is, when did we open this? The 23rd. So the 23rd, yeah, Thursday. So trading days is open 1, 2, 3, and then today's the 4th day, and it's up 256%. So just to give you a little heads up, so I have moved my stop loss to, I'm actually going to move that now up to 100. So amount to 100. Update. So we have here, I have par closed this trade as well. So anyone, I put a little video up on the Discord channel for anyone who wanted to par close a trade and stuff like that there. It's up on Instagram, TikTok, on the Discord. It's all over the place there. So how to par close a trade and what I did. So how you par close a trade is you press the X here as if you're going to close a normal trade. Click on this here, partial close, and it close half of the trade. Okay, now I'm not going to close that, so press X. Now, if I had held on to this trade, so I've, as you know, we'll go back to portfolio here, and I go back to close trades. Everyone can see here that I closed 189 quid of it. So I par closed my natural gas. So we've taken 1, 2, 3 trades. So that is partial close, and that's the other half of a run. Okay, so we've taken 3 trades, and at the minute, 498 quid up on those 3 trades in the last month. Okay, so trade's been going well. We also had a loss on the Aussie 200, which was annoying, but we still have those losses. That's part and parcel trading. But let's have a look at natural gas. So pop up here now, and then over to the chart. And eToro. So if you ever see this little circular here, that means that there's a problem with eToro. It's never going to load that. So you need to just refresh the page. And when it refreshes, then we can actually have a look and properly see what's gone on. So as we have a look at this, we have the overall trend going up. We have the overall trend going up. It's come back to this trend line. We have what was going on here is we had the massive spike on natural gas, then we had a pullback, and then we had mainstream announcements of the fuel crisis. And that was one of the main reasons for me taking this trade. But the other reason for taking this trade was because there's a tiny little bit of support and resistance there. Not huge, but there's a small bit there. Hit its head, come down, broke, and then retested. So support and resistance. So that was the trade. So stop loss there, entry there. We're now up here. So this line here was my 3-to-1 take profit. I think I closed it somewhere around here. So I got an extra few quid out of it. I've moved as you saw, I've moved my stop loss up to 100 quid. So which means I cannot lose in this trade. And why put my stop loss at 100 quid when I put it back at the original stop loss? Because generally when stuff like this drops, it drops quite quickly. Okay, so for me, I'm going to, when something like this is running, it generally comes back as hard. Okay, generally comes back as hard. So I have no idea how much this is going to run, but what I'm going to do is I'm going to slowly start moving my stop loss underneath it. I'm not going to I'm not going to move it much more aggressively than I say 100 quid. But generally, when these come back, they come back pretty strong. So the idea is just to sort of hold on to this trade at the moment. I put it inside break even and let it run now. So we'll see how far, what upside is this, because at the minute we're in uncharted water. Look at the run on this. Even from June last year, look at the run on. It's been absolutely lovely. And then from here, okay, from Control Z, does that bring it back? No, it doesn't. No, if I wanted to do that, I wouldn't have done it. So we have that there, and I wanted this. So from September here, or just before September, August, it has just gone parabolic. That is pretty much parabolic. And then we have this fear mongering. So this is fear. Now, for me, I actually think that this will come back into this area. And if it comes back to that area, then we could get another pop to the upside. Now, how much will be in this second pop? Will it come up and double top and then slowly start coming back down? Or will it just drop like a stone again? I don't know. But at the minute, we are in that luxury that we have a trade that is winning. We cannot lose on it. And now just avail of it. Okay. So I know a lot of people on the group have jumped out of this trade. So a lot of people then have jumped out of this trade, and I don't want people jumping in it now. I don't want people trying to catch a falling knife. So that's what this is called now, our fear of missing out and going, oh well, look, Henry, today's bar is green, jump in on it. No, we want some sort of pullback. So why not move my stop loss up underneath there? Well, I could, but the problem is that sometimes when this happens, we get a big long wick. We get a big long wick. So sometimes we get a big long wick on this. Doodle, there we are. So that's the bar. And then this is the big long wick. And then it comes back up and finishes there. And if I put my stop loss underneath there, I'm going to be stopped out because of the wick. At least by moving it up 100 quid, I'm probably have moved up to about here. So I still am leaving quite a big area for this to come back down and then go again. And hopefully it comes back down to this area. And then if it comes back down to this area, I'll probably take a second trade on this. Take a second trade. And then if I lose it, I've lost 100 quid. I know my stop loss is at 100 quid. So which means the one that I've just lost versus the where my stop loss is, one cancels out the other. And then I'm still left with 189 quid profit. And that's the idea of making sure that I'm trading from a place of profit, that there's no downside on this particular trade whatsoever. Okay, so that's how I'm looking to manage this. There's loads of different ways of managing it. I know some people manage trades by moving 1% under, which means then that if I get the measure tool, so the 1% in particular, and this one will be 5.2. So every 5.2%, you're moving a stop loss up. So the stop loss will be there. Then the next 5 will be 10.4. So there's 10.4. So there's where the second percent will be. The third one is 16, it'll be 15.6, which is there, right on the line. The next one will be 20.80, be 21, which will be there. So there's where your actually stop loss will be right now. Right there, if you're trailing your stop loss 1% behind. And this is something that you guys sort of have to work out when you're trading, but it's not very often we get something that runs like this. Well, I actually say that things actually run like that quite often. If you're following what I do, we've had a couple like that. We've had copper that's run like that. We've had Morgan Stanley that's run like that. We've had natural gas, which has run like this. So it has happened quite often. I know some of you guys talk AN. and it has ran like that as well. I know at the start of the year, we took Solar's Edge, which ran like that as well. And I know some of you guys took Twitter that ran like that as well. So, but as catching it, that's the hard thing. So we're trying to be there to catch these things. Now, some of them we miss. So going to have a quick look at Morgan Stanley, because we're also in Morgan Stanley at the moment. So that's a little higher, isn't it? Morgan Stanley. So at the minute, we're 109 quid up and the market is closed. Now, I don't know what the pre-market on this is, but if I have a quick look at the S&P, it looks like it's down. So I'd imagine this to drop down a little bit. So it's down 0.7. Okay, so I'd expect Morgan Stanley to drop down a little bit at the present moment. So I'll just go to MS. Now, what some people may do is we're getting close to the end of the month. We're getting close to the end of the month. Now, if you are looking at P&L at the end of every month, you might just want to close these trades and have a profitable month and just go, this month is now profitable. You may want to try and trade your stop loss or manage the trades that you're in. There may be a whole different ways of managing these trades, but again, that's something you sort of have to understand and sort out yourself. You have to work out whether you're someone who is trailing the stop loss, whether you're just going to close everything because you are now profitable for the month. There are a lot of traders who do that. Is that they're at the month and it's now profitable. Is there somewhere where you can look at the pre-market? Well, the easiest one for me is TradingView. TradingView.com is the easiest one for me to look at, and I go to charts. That's the easiest one of all for me when I'm looking at it. And pull up my red list here. And where is MS? There we are. Did I just delete that? Pretty sure I just deleted it. Well done, Henry. And it tells us now, look, see the orange one? It tells us that the pre-market, the last time this was refreshed or the server was refreshed, is 104.27. So it's down slightly. And as we can see, this is my first entry. This is my second entry, and this is my third entry on this particular trade. And they're all right there at this present moment in time. So this one risked 4.27 of the market. I'm now 32% up. This one risked 11.4. I'm now 19.29 up. And this one risked 2.8. And at the minute, will I pull this down? At the minute, we are 5.2. Okay, so that's the idea. That's the idea of the likes of these, is that it works out what risk to reward you've just done on your trades. Oh, I just unflagged it. Okay, cool. So that's the idea. We're just making sure that we're following the correct process. We're making sure we're following the correct setups. Make sure that you're managing your trades. So if you look at this and the pre-market is down, so the pre-market's down to about here. So at half the profit is going to be eaten away. Okay, so which means then you understand that before the market is going to open. If you think that the S&P is going to continue dropping, if you think the S&P is going to break this low here, it may be worth closing the likes of Morgan Stanley. Okay, so it depends what your general outlook on the likes of this is. Do you think that even though the S&P drops or the Dow drops or the NASDAQ drops, do you think that the likes of the Morgan Stanley will will not drop as quick. Okay, and that's the idea. You have to work out which of these do you think is going to be the correct one? Is it, and which one do you feel is going to run better? Okay, must be an indicator. I have to turn on. I can't see it on mine. Can you not see the pre-market? I don't even know whether I don't think I put a setting on it. I think it just one morning or one day it just turned up. So see that one there? I have no idea. So that's how I have it. I don't even know why or how it popped up there, if I'm being honest. Someone said it's standard in TradingView. I'll Google it. Okay, well, I thought the same was standard on TradingView. Okay, so the last actually trade that we're in is, I'll pull it up here because it's here, is the NASDAQ. Okay, so the NASDAQ is the last trade that we actually took. So at the present moment, we are a little bit down on this position. We're a little bit down on this position. So, and I kept my stop loss. I kept my stop loss below this low, didn't I? I kept it below this low because I didn't trust this level here. So I kept it below this low. So at the minute, I'm halfway down towards my stop loss. So risk to 1%. So I'm 50 quid down on this particular trade. So that's something to be aware of on the likes of this. So we took 3 trades. One is what, 5, nearly 6% up. One is 1% up, 0.5% when the market opens, and the other one then is 0.5% down. Now, what you could do is you could say, oh, well, the NASDAQ, I'm going to close it. The Morgan Stanley, I'm going to close it, and then one cancels the other out. One is up 50 quid, the other one is down 50 quid. And then it means the only one that's running then is the profitable trade, which is natural gas. So there's loads of different ways to trade it. You could look at this now and go, well, Henry, there's actually an entry there in the very same entry, stop loss in the very same place, and I can actually take that. So I'm expecting the market to bounce off this. And if the market bounces off this, then perfect. I'm in the market as it's about to turn. So you also have that opportunity there as well. So you have to make sure and have a look and see what type of trading you are looking to do and why you're looking to get into that. Has anyone got any questions about any of the trades we talked about there, or the NASDAQ, the S&P? How do I add those targets? As in this here. It's literally just drag and drop. So you go and get your buy position. So say this long position here, and you drop it on your entry. So you drop it, you always put it on your entry. And for some reason, it always puts up a second one. And then I just drag the bottom up to where my stop loss is. And then it says, look, I'm risking 2%. At this particular moment, it's 5%. Okay. So I'm just going to delete that now and get rid of that one. And that's the easiest way to do the likes of that. Okay, cool. So we're just gonna quickly go down through all these along here. So these are my hot list. These are ones that I've looked at one time throughout the year. So we're gonna run down to this hot list that I've flagged. Okay, so we've done the S&P, we've done the Dow. They're all hovering there. So the German DAX. So the German DAX for me is stay away from it. And the next entry is if it comes down to here. I don't see any reason why we should be looking to trade it before it hits here. The UK 100 for me has to come back down to this level. So if it comes down there, then we potentially look to buy it, even though it looks horrible. The CAC is a little bit annoying because we took a trade on it here, stopped us out, which was a little bit frustrating. But again, it is what it is. Japan, stay away from. I'm actually going to unflag that, get rid of it. Hong Kong, again, get rid of that. Apple. So Apple has been trending quite nicely for us over the last couple of years. It's been a really nice winner for us. And for me, I have to bring it down into for real. Okay, so there is the level for us here. Now, the problem with this is that it is gone pretty sideways. It had this kick to the upside, and then it's gone pretty flat since then. It hasn't gone anywhere sort of since then. It's been pretty flat here. So hopefully the next run, which will be the Christmas run, will add to this. Okay, so that's what we're looking at now, is this market. We also have sort of a trend line, but it's not a very good trend line. It's not something that would be massively jumping out at me, but we do have that there. Is that market coming back to here before it actually pops to the upside, or is it coming back to this horizontal level? So, and that's the problem with the minute, is if the NASDAQ continues to fall over, this will drop down into this level. So just keep an eye on it. Beyond Meat is something that I am sort of holding on to long term. It is one of those trades I don't recommend you guys trade, but it's something that I trade. Once it gets down below, the $119, so anywhere around there, I generally tend to buy it. Once it's down below there, and then if it pops up to the upside, then I potentially jump out of it. So it depends on where we are in the cycle. So for me, anywhere below that, $114, it is potentially worth a buy. But again, this is trading a sideways market instead of trading a trending market. Facebook, again, we had a really nice trend on this one, and that's why it's on the list. It was trending nicely, but it is now broken that sort of trend line. So it's now off the list. And it is sort of broken this horizontal as well. We talked about this on the webinar. I think it was last Tuesday we talked about this. Was this a trade here, even though it broke that level? And the answer was no. See that level there? Even though it broke that level, it wasn't a trade. And it's gone up a little bit since then. But the pre-market now is down. It's down fractionally, as you can see again. Google, something similar. So did anyone take this trade last week on Google? So I know you guys were looking at this. So there was a stop loss, there was the entry, and you were looking for this to the upside. At the minute, the pre-market is down, so you're actually probably at break even or just below your entry on this one if you'd have taken this. So I'm assuming no one took that. Lululemon had a pretty big drop back here, and then it had another pump to the upside. There was a potential level there, it popped down, and then it gapped up. I'm assuming there must have been some sort of news or something that came out, and that's why it popped up. But again, if it comes back down to this level, there's a potential trade on that. McDonald's. So McDonald's is something that I have, and I've invested in it. I had invested in McDonald's before the pandemic, closed all the positions on it, and then jumped into it again after the pandemic. So this is something that just generally pops to the upside slowly but surely. And that's something that I'm in. Is it the best trend in the world? Absolutely not. Moderna. So Moderna was one of those ones we got lucky somewhere around here, and then it just popped up here. So it's I think I'm up about 150% up on Moderna. Anyone who followed me into that trade then as well, well done. We actually bought the underlying asset. Would I be looking to buy any of it here now? Not at all. There's no real setup here. It's not something that's jumping out of me. It's not something that I need a pullback. I need it to drop. I need it to drop maybe even down here to the $180 mark before I'm looking to buy it again. Netflix. I know some of you guys looked at the horizontal level here on Netflix and then tried to jump in there, but for me, it's not a trade. Look at the sideways market. It is definitely not something that's coming up on my radar. But anyone who is buying stocks at the minute, you sort of need to look into when are their earnings reports coming out? When is the next earnings reports coming up? What's their expected earnings? What do we expect to happen when it is released? Do we expect the news to be good? Do we expect the news to be bad? Do we expect the news to be on points? So on and so forth. So this is the only sort of time where I talk about fundamentals. I talk about fundamentals, and generally you put it into Google. What is Netflix earnings? Expected earnings, okay, a couple of days before or a week before, and they generally give you an overview of what is expected, whether they seem to be on target, whether they seem to be exceeding the target, whether the earnings per share is updated, whether it's decreased, so on and so forth. So make sure, remember, Google is a very good source of information for us. We just have to put it in there and have a look at it. Neo. I actually bought a bit of Neo yesterday for my brother, but I would like, if it comes down to here, I will look to buy some more. It's pretty flat. It hasn't been affected as big as sort of the other Chinese companies, so it seems to be running okay. So the earnings are on. So ED down here. Is that what you mean? At the bottom of the chart, E. I have no idea where you mean, Kathy. Oh, sorry, here. Okay, and then here's the next ones. Okay, cool. Yeah, see you now. I've actually just never spotted it. Thought you were on about down here somewhere. So now if we have a look at Nike. Okay, so you can see that Nike's earnings come out and they were worse than expected, weren't they? As you can see here, that gap down. So we wanted Nike to come down into this level. So we just had Nike come down into this area. So 1, 2, 3 touches, it's come down to there. Now, is this a good place to get in? So is this a good trade to take? So here we have the pre-market at the 14713. So just underneath the red line, we have the pre-market. Okay, so and that's the beauty of the pre-market. It's that it's jumped down. So this trade is still valid there. Even though it's jumped down, this trade is still there. And then we update the trade tomorrow. If that bar breaks the level and it closes down here, then that is not a valid trade anymore. Okay, and this is the idea of doing the likes of a little watch list and just popping them in here. Do your analysis on it. Now, I haven't looked at Nike in what, a month and a half. And now look, I could actually take a trade on it right now, this second. Ocado. I don't know why that was on the list, but obviously I haven't looked at it in a while. So this is definitely not something that's on my radar at all. Peloton. So this is something, Cathy, that you like, don't you? Peloton. And Peloton was trending lovely, but it seems to have now jumped into this sort of area, into this zone. So for me, have to have that there, have to have that level. And if it comes back to this level, then there's potential buy on it. But you broke it off with Peloton, did you? So it's another month till their earnings. So that's pretty cool. But again, you can see that's after tailing off here. It seems to have the pandemic was this big earner. So when we have the earnings, then we just sort of now, is it something we hold on long term? Do we believe in the company? We have to wait till it comes down to an area that we're happy to buy, where we see value now. Okay. We're not looking at these trend-based trades anymore. We're now looking for value on this. So Peloton for me is now off the list. Sky Network Solution. This is something that was trending. And then the minute we got into it, it come down, stopped us out, and then started trending again. But the problem here is, look, we have a triple top sort of here. So we have a left shoulder, a head, right shoulder. It seems to be sort of turning over. It seems to be slowing down. So for me, there's a potential trade when it comes back to here. But is it something that I would take? Absolutely not. Again, TTD, again, was something that was trending lovely. All through this, up through this, we jumped in here, stopped us out, and then it stopped trending. I know we talked about a trade here. So we talked about this trade there. We talked about it here on this pullback, and we talked about this phase one, phase two. Again, look, it's pretty flat. It's not something that I would look at the moment. Walmart was trending nicely, and then it took a pretty slow movement. It had this drop down, and now it seems to be starting to trend again. Is this the beginning of the new trend to the upside? So we have. So is that a trade there? Now the stop loss would have to go below this low. See that bar there? So is that a trade there? Entry, stop loss, upside. Is that something that you guys are looking at? There is a potential trade there. But again, we have to work out, is this a key level? Is this a key area? How many people are looking at this to trade here? Are you confident that this is the trend that's going to turn to the upside? And the trades always come down to your confidence at the end of the day. And if you're confident of that coming back or that taking off there, then it's a really good trade. Looking at the trend is giving me confidence. But then it comes down to you, is this where you're happy to put your money in? Are you looking to trade this as a CFD or an underlying asset? If you're looking to trade this as a CFD, is this the best setup? Probably not, because it's pretty flat. If you're buying the underlying asset, perfect. There's loads of upside on this. Why? Because the overall trend is going up. Walmart, as far as you know, give a pretty good dividend. So the dividend is here. I'm assuming that is dividend. So the dividend is coming up. As long as you buy it before the ex-dividend date, you're fine. Disney. So I've got into Disney, and Disney has literally gone sideways since we got into it. So I think we got into it somewhere. I think I'm down about $5 or $6. So I got into it somewhere around here. So this pulled back, and it has gone sideways for the last 3 or 4 months. Hasn't really gone anywhere. So it's a little bit annoying. Was expecting this sort of to take off with the subscription service, and then with the likes of Disney Plus and all that sort of stuff taking off, I was expecting this to continue with its massive upward trajectory, and it hasn't. So I'm going to hold on to it for another little while and see. Pinterest. So Pinterest is something that I'm in for a long while. I'm about 190% up on Pinterest. And my question to you guys is, do we jump out of Pinterest now? Is Pinterest done? Is it finished? Is this the end of this run on Pinterest? Or do we think it has more momentum to the upside? Or are we better off waiting till the earnings before we do that. No, there's no momentum at all at the minute to the upside. So for me, it's hold on potentially till the next earnings report and then make a decision then based on that. And if I can get some information before the earnings report, then I will probably make my decision before it. But I'm getting close to the point where I'll be exiting this trade. And then if it takes off again, I'll jump into it as a CFD rather than the underlying asset. But for me, it seems to be now plateauing. It seems to be the pandemic was the big earner. Has it capitalized on this? Well, only time will tell. Only time will tell. But as we can see here, the earnings dropped. Why? Because of the subscriptions there. Subscriptions, revenue was up, but subscriptions were down. So it'll be interesting to see what happens here, whether the subscriptions will be up or down and whether earnings will be up or down. And then that will dictate whether I hold on to this trade or what I get out of it. So Square. So remember I said to you, we took a trade on Square. That was a trade we took, went up to a 5-1. Well done, anyone that took that. And this one is, we have to, when we're trading the likes of Square, we have to understand what's going on. So Square is quite heavily linked with the likes of Bitcoin as well. So just make sure that if you're trading the likes of Square, you also understand that it's quite heavily linked. We seem to have a bit of a ceiling and a floor that this seems to be pinging between at the moment. So for me, there's no trade on this till it breaks and retests up here. For me, there's no trade till it breaks and retests. I'm not looking to take this at all till that happens or till it comes down to the bottom. One of two things has to happen. It either has to go from there up and then retest down or come down to the bottom here. They're the two scenarios for me to be trading here. It's either, and I will not trade anything in between, either here or here. So these two levels. Palantir is one of those ones that got in, still holding it. And yeah, it's off the list. It's not something that's trending. It's just now sit and hold. Same with Jumaya. Jumaya is one that I got in, just sit and hold. Was expecting off this level here for it to bounce and it didn't. It's now sort of pretty flat. So now it's just sit and hold or jump out of it. Game is something that we talked about, as in this is not something that we should be trading at all. Stay away from it. Get off my list. Crocs is something that should be on the list. It's something that we all should be trading. It is something that it has trended absolutely beautiful over our time here. All we do is wait for it to come back into this level, or there's a small horizontal level there either. I get a ray here. There's one right there as well. So if it comes back into both of those together, I'm happy to take that. If it comes back anywhere in around here, we're looking to buy that. T-Mobile, it was trending lovely, and then all of a sudden this has dropped like a stone. So this is now off the list. I'm not looking to buy this. Why? Because this downward momentum is just too strong. Absolutely get out of there. This as well had a really nice trend, and see the difference in what I'm trading and a lot of you guys are trading. There's clear trends or clear cyclicity with the likes of these. You can within a couple of seconds see my reasoning for trading the likes of that. And that's how simple trading should be. Keep it nice and simple. And then all of a sudden you get these trades in to take off. Why? Because you're keeping it really simple. You're watching the good stuff. You're watching what you should be doing. And then when that happens, there's no surprise that you catch these good trades. Earnings is coming out on the end of October there. So a couple of weeks, we have earnings coming out. Again, with this wide open west, I have no idea what it is, but look at the trend. Absolutely beautiful. There, it has to come back to there. The trend line for me is broken. The trend line is not strong enough on this one. So if we look at the trend line here, it's not, it seems to be sort of broken. So there would be where the trend line is, but it's broken. So it's not valid anymore. So I'll come back to this horizontal level, 1, 2, 3 touches. Yep, I'll have a look at sugar. I'll have a look at also silver, someone said as well. WTI, I'll look at WTI and eToro properly in a minute. Microsoft, look at the trend on this. Beautiful. Beautiful. If I wanted to do that now, I wouldn't do it, would I? So the trend line here doesn't work. Why? Because it just took off. So that is not valid. And the problem here is with this is there's where do we buy in again? It has to come back the whole way down to this level here, or the trend line that I just had there for us to have a valid entry. So at the moment, for me, it's stay away from this at the minute and let it come back down to a decent enough area. Potentially there, a horizontal. Potentially there. And if it comes back to there, then potentially looking to buy it again. Nvidia, something similar. Nvidia had this beautiful run up. It's come back into that level. I know some of you guys took that. Off that bounce, and then the retest. I know some of you guys took that a long position there, so entry there. Stop loss there. And at the minute, you're about break even. So with the pre-market, it's down. It's actually down there. So you're probably halfway towards your stop loss with the pre-market, the way it's opening up. Similarly, again, another nice trend on this one, depending on where you're looking to put your trend line. Okay, pre-market has had a huge gap down. And earnings are good, by the way. So the pre-market has had a pretty big gap down. I'm assuming there's some sort of announcement that has come out. Anyone know? ASML. So no idea why that has dropped so much. But again, look at the trend. It's beautiful. Adobe, again, we have a really nice trend on this. We had this massive spike on Adobe, and we now need to have a pullback into some sort of area. For me, it has to come back to that one back there. Okay, so we need to get a pullback into this area for me to be having a look at this, but probably won't happen. So that means then we need to wait for a little bit of cyclicity, support and resistance, and then we start trading it again. Berkshire Hathaway. So we have that horizontal. I know some of you guys took this. I know some of you guys took this here. I know some of you took that there, that entry there, and stop loss was now whether you were stopped out or not depended on how aggressive you are with your stop loss. And if you didn't, it went up here, and what was that, a 2-to-1? And we can see here that the pre-market is slightly down on Berkshire Hathaway. But again, these are all trending, nice trending stuff. Okay. So the idea is that once the market starts trending again, that's when we start jumping into these again. We start jumping these once the market starts trending again. Okay. And I know the last seminar, I think it was on last Tuesday, you guys were looking at this. Did anyone take Google? And if you take this one, long position, entry there, stop loss underneath that bar there. And if you took that there, you're slightly down on this pre-market, is slightly down below entry. Not wanted more of a drop. But again, there's a difference between the likes of trending markets and stuff that is not trending. It's easier to get entries on the likes of this than it is on stuff that's not trending. It's easier to make money on this as it's trending. The only thing that we have to be aware of that if we're taking on CFD trades here, if you're taking underlying, it really makes no difference. But if you're taking CFD trades here, you have to make sure and have a look and see what the NASDAQ is doing. So the NASDAQ today has had a big sell-off, which means then that a lot of these trades have now popped down to the downside. The question is now, will this turn around before the end of the day, or will this continue dropping? Will it come down to a double bottom? Will it come down to this little floor here? Or will it hit this and turn around? So these are all the questions that you have to understand before you're actually taking these CFD trades. So silver and gold. So silver and gold, we had small little trends in the middle of these here. We have this trend coming along here. It's a little bigger trend and horizontal. And then we can see it's a sideways market. It's a sideways market. I can even bring this floor down a fraction and put that there to say that we're very close to the bottom of that floor. And this is the problem with the likes of this is for me now, the next trade is here, short. But again, if it drops another little bit down to 21.8, is there now going to be buying power at that point? Is there going to be loads of buying power at that particular point, which there probably will be. There probably will be. Why? Because we have this floor down here. But whatever you're doing on silver, you have to have a look at gold. Gold you have to watch gold as well if you're looking to trade silver. And we can see, look, gold still actually has some more downside, which means they would then tell me that I'd expect silver to break that floor. So I'd expect gold to come down into the likes of this area. See later, Marcus. So into about this area. And if it pops down to this area, then I would expect loads of money here, buyers to turn this around again. So again, we have this pretty sideways market. So make sure you're trading them correctly. There was a trade there on the smaller time frame. Pop back up here on the smaller time frame because this is all phase one on the daily chart. If we drop down to the 4 hour, there's a nice pullback there on the 4 hour. Look, phase one, phase two, phase one. The difference is, did you take this one or did you wait for it to hit this level? If you waited for it to hit that level, then we got in. I think there's actually a trend line on it as well. Maybe not. Well, there is, depending on where I want to put it. And it's the problem with trading. Sometimes it's subjective. So 1, 2, 3 touches, also have that horizontal break and retest. Well done, anyone who took that short. So it looks like there's still room for this to go down. I expect this to potentially hit that level. And also gold and dollar are very interlinked. So if we have gold weakness, it's probably meaning that dollar is getting stronger. What did you want, James? Was it wheat? Was it? Sugar, sorry. So wheat, anyone who was looking at wheat, it came back into this area. Did anyone take it long at that level? Bounce, bounce, bounce. And now look, we had that retest. Did anyone take it long at that retest? Anyone took it long? Well done. You're probably about 1-to-1 up at the minute. Measure there down to there, which is 2.3. To today's bar, it is 4.9. So you're actually 1 3/4 up. Anyone that took it. Well done. Sugar. Okay, so let's have a look. Sugar for me still has a little further to drop, but again, we are on that horizontal level there. We also we have a little descending triangle there for me, so it's not massively jumping out at me at the moment. And Adnan says it expires today on eToro. Okay, so I still think there's a little bit more. I think it has to come down to this trend line here. And yes, I'm chopping this off here because of a bounce there, bounce, bounce, and if it comes back, there's a potential bounce there as well. So there is a potential trade there, but it's not something that I would take. It's not jumping out at me. It's not one of those ones that are, yes, I have to take it. Let's have a look at BTC Crypto. And again, it's pretty flat. It's bounced off the 40,000 level there again. Hasn't really gone anywhere over the last 10 days. Let's see what happens. Let's see if it pops down to the 30,000 mark or whether it takes off again. Only time will tell. We will see very shortly what will happen. Crypto generally doesn't tend to stay quiet for too long. So we'll see what happens. But again, it's make sure you have a plan of action for whatever happens. If it comes back down to here, have a plan whether you're buying in, or if it takes off, again, have a plan for what you're doing as it's taken off. Are you buying back in? Are you scaling into your positions? But remember, you can't just keep pressing the buy button. Make sure you're getting in at the end of the phase twos. That's when we should be getting in. Also, what we'll have a look at is ADA, Cardano. So Cardano come back literally to this level here and bounced. Did anyone buy it again on this level? Anyone buy it again at that area? Why won't eToro let you take a short on what, Nigel? Why can't we take a short on BCT on eToro? It's because of, it's nothing to do with eToro. It is government regulation that in the UK, you're not allowed to trade crypto as a CFD. So to short something, you have to have a CFD. Now, anyone who wants to trade crypto, you can trade it on NAGA. Okay, so anyone who wants to trade a CFD on crypto, you can trade it on NAGA. NAGA allows you to trade it, okay, as a CFD. Nope, just waiting for it to hit the 1.45. Okay, yeah, look, I can see that. I can see it getting down to there, but let's see if it gets there before the likes of the next crypto rally, because I expect crypto to take off. I expect it to take off. So we have to wait for it to hit this area before it takes off. So anyone who's regulated in the UK means you cannot trade crypto as a CFD. Anyone who has regulations in the likes of the BVI, in St. Lucia, in the likes of Cyprus, stuff like that, there you can, but anywhere in the likes of the UK, you can't. Ether. Ethereum. Again, come back into that level, but it doesn't look like this level will hold. From seeing what we have there, it doesn't look like this level will hold. It looks like this will pop back down to here. That's where I expect it to come back to again, back to the 1.7 level. And that then again would be a potential entry to start buying it again. What else? XRP. I know XRP has sort of gone off the radar for a little while. Everyone has sort of stayed away from it for a little while. Well done. And again, if it comes back into this area, 7.49, that would be a potential buy area. But again, it's not something that would massively jump out at me. It's not something that would massively jump out at me. To trade horizontal. Potential there as well, depending on where we're looking to get in. Either of those areas, bounce, come back to there. Last two I'm going to look at is LH. So LH, let's have a look. Okay, looks really, really good. Looks lovely. I'd need to do a little bit of research on it, see what it does, why it does it, so on and so forth, and before I take the trade. But looks like a really nice trend. I would also potentially look at the pre-market here and see if there has it gapped down, to see if there's a trade available there. But looks good, in my opinion. You also have a potential floor here, so it may come back into this area. So it may actually drop a little bit further. It may drop into this area. So 1, 2, 3. If it's gapped down, then potentially wait for it to come back down to this level, and that will be the next entry on it. And then the last one then is BP. Okay, so obviously with the likes of gas taking off, we have BP that has taken off as well over the last couple of days. I'm actually surprised this has taken off, because I would have expected the companies to, if they're not able to get petrol to the stations, to potentially decrease in value, not increase. But again, it comes down to psychology of people trading. Let's have a look at Oxy. Has that jumped as well? Absolutely, it has. The same has happened there. Royal Dutch Shell has the same thing happened. Looks like it. All these stocks are going up as well. Exxon Mobil. There we are. Had a bit of a jump as well. So yeah, we see them all sort of seem to be jumping there. So there seems to be a little bit of upside on the likes of oil stocks at the minute. So potentially, if you guys are looking to jump in on that and want to buy the oil physical asset, looks like there's a small bit of upside on. But remember, this is only short term, so don't be afraid to get out of them once you're happy with the upside on it. Well, I am holding a trading day, okay, on Friday It's in London. It's in Heathrow in London. There are a couple of spaces left. Anyone who wants to jump in on it, let me know. And if you have any questions or you've no idea what I've gone through today, you should really be on this trading day. It's completely free. It's sponsored by the broker, so the broker is taking on the cost for you guys. All you have to do is have a funded account, and you are more than welcome to come and sit in on the trading day. So anyone who hasn't reached out to me, reach out to me either on the Discord. Is the trading day going to be a recurring event? Well, if no one turns up to the first one, then no. If we get loads of people at the first one, then yes. So it depends on who turns up. It's as simple as that. Because the broker's not going to pay for another day if no one turns up, if that makes sense. So at the end of the day, we will see. But yeah, there's spaces left. Anyone wants to jump in, and if you're away and you still want to, what would you cover? I'll cover market trends. I will cover structure of the markets. I will cover entries, exits, how to set up a watch list, so on and so forth, all that sort of stuff. So I will be placing live trades. So if there's any trades to be placed, I will be taking them. So that's the idea of it. It's live. So unfortunately, yes, these online webinars are really, really good, but you can literally ask questions. You can discuss them between yourselves in a room, a classroom with me. And that's the idea of it. Okay. So if anyone wants to jump in on it, make sure you send me an email or reach out to me, whatever way you reach out to me normally. So contact at henry-ward.co.uk. And that's my email address. So anyone who wants it is there. Just copy and paste it. You can email me directly. Anyone who is interested, anyone wants to come along to it. But it starts at 9 p.m. It finishes at 4. Food is provided, teas and coffee are provided, and I will be having a drink at 4 o'clock in the bar afterwards. So if anyone wants to come and have a chat, you're more than welcome. Okay, everyone, it's been an absolute pleasure. Thank you very much. Hope you have a lovely day and looking forward to seeing you in on the trading day. Thanks, everyone. Bye-bye.